The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now, from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here are your hosts of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard and Taylor Welch.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for November 25th, 2025. This is season 15, episode number 23, and episode number 536 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. It's coming up. It'll be here in a couple of days. And tomorrow, on Wednesday, November 26th, the Binghamton Black Bears will be hosting the Danbury Hat Tricks. And so we are doing a show a couple days early. That's right. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And again, Taylor, happy holidays to you and to everybody out there. Obviously, we're doing the show a couple of days early because we got a game tomorrow. So we want to talk about that because, believe it or not, it's against the Danbury Hat Tricks. And unfortunately, there is some stuff to talk about there. And also, with the holiday on Thursday, it was primed to do a Tuesday show.
Yeah, it's definitely, I kind of forgot about it until you mentioned it yesterday about doing the show today. And I was like, we're doing it this early in the week. And I was like, oh, right. Thursday, Thanksgiving, Wednesday game. Yeah, it makes sense. Because, we kind of joked about, I don't think the arena would let us stop hockey and tell them to pause so we could record a show in the middle of the game.
I don't think
they like that very much.
But I think it's a great idea. And I think I need to talk to Brant and Andrea, sit them down and say, listen, you have a Wednesday show. We record on Wednesdays. You guys need to, shut the arena off, turn everybody, make everybody quiet. Maybe it'll be a Power Play Post Show gag. That a ball gag. That would be like our little thing. Maybe not ball gag. Maybe that was really the wrong idea there. Maybe like a handkerchief to put over the mouth to keep everyone quiet while we're recording the show. Nope, that doesn't work either. All right, I'm going to move on from that. We have a great interview with Ivan Bondarenko that I think everybody is going to be really excited about to listen to. Great story, Taylor. We talked about the name issue. We talked about the name. I told him the story about Frank Perney coming up, about you telling me that I was saying it wrong, which fine. He says the American version is definitely Ivan. If you say Ivan in American, it's Ivan, or the way it's spelled, it is definitely Ivan. He goes over in Russia, they say Ivan, and his nickname over there, which he prefers to be called, is Vana. So we definitely had that conversation. So I know you would appreciate that because of us kind of joking about it, giggling about it. It's amazing how just 4 letters could sound differently no matter what you do.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I really have enjoyed picking on you about it, especially when you were like, oh, well, I haven't heard Frank say it. So I made it my mission to make sure that you heard it one day. I've had a lot of fun with it. So now we've actually got to talk to him, and that's really cool. I'm very excited to listen to this interview. I truthfully, I can't wait for it to come out because he just seems like such a sweet guy. I talked to him for like half a second after a game in Danbury. He came over and he did the whole fist bump thing, thanked everybody for coming, and that was the extent of it. But you could just tell that he is such a genuine human being.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Coach Sherwood told me before he came. It's what Coach Sherwood told me a couple of days ago when I told him that he was coming on the show, and he really was. He was great. He's the only player on the team that obviously has kids, so that is an interesting setup for him. But they're here, and they're living in a great neighborhood where the kids can go to school, and they are just. I personally think that Yvonne and Katie and their kids are just living their best lives. And that's the great thing. He's playing hockey, and he's going to try to win another championship. And that's really the goal for these guys, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so it's a great interview. I think everyone's going to enjoy it.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You've been putting out a lot of good ones recently, so it's very hard to like constantly be like, oh, that was a great one. Oh, this one's really good. It seems like they keep getting better, which I know that's a great thing, but it's almost like, like I can't. It's the anticipation is killing me almost. Like I'm very excited to listen to this.
It's not me though. It's not me. Yes, I asked the questions, but these guys are articulate. They're smart. They can tell a story. They understand the concept of almost like selling themselves, because that's what they have to do. When they sometimes come to the Black Bears to play, they will sit there and have conversations with Brant Sherwood. Well, guess what they do? It's almost like an interview for like an hour and a half, sometimes an hour at times, where they're just sitting there telling Brant their life story. So Brant sometimes knows some of the stuff, and sometimes he says even he learns stuff from listening to the interviews that I do with these guys. But they have to do this already. So they've learned probably pretty early, talking to coaches and talking to people like general managers of junior teams and college hockey coaches. They've had to learn how to sell themselves a little bit and tell their story. And so when they get to me, it's just very easy to be able to do this. And I've got a little bit of a format that I've been accustomed to kind of, teach somebody. Now, if Yvonne comes on to the show, 3 or 4 months from now, just before playoffs, and we sit down and we talk to him again, we won't talk about all the, the background stuff, and we'll talk more hockey than we did right now. And that's going to be cool too. But there's definitely a format to these that I think just allows people to learn a little bit more about the players.
Well, not only that, but you're a very easy person to talk to. And these players, they just really seem to open up to you. And, I think people have noticed that. I mean, even Brant has noticed that himself. These guys, it's almost like they look forward to talking to you. And when they come on the show, it's almost like you're giving them, like not just them, but the fans, like their story, their reason behind why they're doing what they're doing. And I just think it's a fantastic thing.
Well, thank you. All right, we got some serious stuff to talk about, so let's get through the must-reads. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and please don't forget to subscribe. Join the conversation on Facebook. Search for the Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, visit binghamtonhockey.net. Coming up on this episode of the Power Play Post Show, as we already mentioned, it is Black Bears forward Ivan Bondarenko. And, one of the things that I talked to him about off air, Taylor, was about Justin Thompson and the accident that happened on the ice. And he said he hadn't watched the video, and he doesn't think he's going to watch the video to see it. And I honestly don't blame him for not wanting to watch it, because I think, when you're in that activity where someone gets seriously injured like that, sometimes that's not something that you want to see, because then it gets into your head a little bit.
Yeah, I don't blame him one bit for not wanting to see it. I'm not a hockey player. This is something that I would never see myself doing. I don't think I could even skate to save my life. So for me, I wanted to see it just because I wanted to know what happened. It's not like it was one of those things where you kind of had to search for it. It wasn't just like openly out there. I had found it, and so had, our other person that we always talk to constantly, that I won't mention his name because he picks on me about it. Mm-hmm. So, I understand not wanting to see it, especially in being in the position that he is. So I couldn't blame him for that. And it's definitely it's gotta be hard to even think about something like that happening, let alone seeing it happen firsthand.
No, without a doubt. And, obviously he was on the ice, and, he actually fought Lurgo after Lurgo viciously slashed Austin Thompson, our Thompson, who plays obviously for the Black Bears. And, he said he didn't see the slash itself. He turned around and saw Thompson on the ground, so he knew something had happened. And he immediately is like, all right, dude, we're going. Dropped his gloves. He doesn't normally fight. He said, in all of Pensacola his 4 seasons with Pensacola, he fought maybe once, but that's how close these guys have gotten together just in 12 or 14 games. And Justin Thompson is a rookie playing in the SPHL for his first year. So he's only played I think 11 or 12 games. And to have something like that happen is just kind of crazy. But, even, just the Danbury, injury, he saw that and he doesn't understand why someone would do that. He just doesn't see it in him that he would ever resort to doing something like that. So it was a very interesting conversation with Yvonne about that. And it's poignant, right? Because obviously we're going to talk about it. So let's get into this. Continued discussion about severe injuries in hockey. Justin Thompson of the Macon Mayhem was severely injured on Saturday's game versus the Roanoke Rail Dogs. He had surgery today, Tuesday, to help repair the C3, C4 vertebrae and had ACDF surgery. Now, what is ACDF surgery? It is an anterior cervical discectomy and fusion. So basically, they take out part of the bruised or herniated discs in his spine. So it's a surgery that removes damaged cervical neck discs and fuses the 2 vertebrae above and below it. The procedure is performed through an incision in the front of the neck involving removing herniated and diseased discs. In this case, it's probably damaged because of the hit into the boards, and then stabilizing the vertebrae with a bone graft, an implant, and plate and screws. This is done to relieve pain and nerve pressure caused by conditions like a herniated or degenerative disc. Now, in his case, he was a perfectly healthy person before going into that game, and he came out of that game obviously with damaged, vertebrae. And I've watched the play multiple times because, of course, that happened the day after the cross check to the face of Desmarais, who is injured. I don't know if he's playing this upcoming weekend. I do know that Anthony Bernardo, who probably wasn't available anyways, was released from the Black Bears. That's a good thing and a bad thing for Bernardo. He's going to go and finish the schooling that he needs to finish and the student teaching that he's doing. And then he could be available in sometime in January for the Black Bears if they need him, which is a great thing. But this is a serious surgery. This is a serious injury. This is something where a player's stick got kind of tangled up and the player moved his stick and it made Thompson, lose balance and hit into the boards. We don't see injuries like this a lot in hockey, and we have to be grateful for that because it's something that is probably on some people's minds at some times, but luckily we don't have to think about it often. But I love the fact that the hockey community has come together, come around, and really supported. There's a GoFundMe that has reached probably 80% of what they need so far because...
Oh, it surpassed what he needed.
Oh, okay. I wasn't
yeah,
sure.
It went very far past. I think they wanted 15 and it's up past 40 now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't sure because, these surgeries can be very expensive. These surgeries can take 7 or 8 hours to do. And I know that Kelsey Drury, who, if she's listening, I know her son, she mentioned on her page that her son has had a surgery very similar to this where, and that was 7 or 8 hours. And I can only imagine how long it takes for them to do these types of surgeries. I know people who go in and just get fusion of one vertebrae, and that takes a couple hours. Something like this where you're doing 2 can take much longer than that. But the signs are good that he came out and that the surgery was a success. His brother Jordan did post that. Taylor, this is something that, you're newer to hockey, as we've mentioned. Jeremy, who you were with, is not, but you're a little bit newer to hockey, so you haven't seen injuries like this that often.
Oh, no, I think this is the first time I've seen something to this extent.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's kind of difficult in some cases to kind of really grasp your mind around, but we really do enjoy getting to know these players, and having something like that is just not fun. So how should the SPHL and the FPHL handle punishments on cases like this for Thompson and Desmarais? Now, in Thompson's case, there is no additional disciplinary action. There was a 2-minute boarding call and a 2-minute roughing call because there was kind of a skirmish or a fight after the incident happened. With Desmarais, obviously there was a 2-game suspension. And one of the things that I've been talking to a few people about since our last conversation about this, where I was just off the handle and just all fired up, and that's just who I am. That's why you either love me or hate me in some cases. But I think the thing that probably didn't happen here was the Department of Safety in the FPHL, unlike the NHL, did not reach out to Frolov to talk to him about this. And why do I think that's necessary? Because you can really formulate a good opinion about intent. And that's what they do in the NHL. If there is going to be a suspension that's going to be 1 to 5 games, there is a over-the-phone conversation. And anything above 6, the player has to come into the offices. I believe it's in New York City where they do it. Might be up in Toronto, but they have an in-person hearing to discuss this and to talk to the players. And there's GMs involved, and there's other people involved as well. Now, a simple phone conversation between Dave Jackson and a player in the FPHL probably could be arranged, and that could be a hearing that could also have like the general manager of both teams on there, so they could have a discussion and find out more about the intent. Because I think that's important here, because I think 2 games is too little. But these are sensitive times for players, number one. And these are also sensitive player times for everybody else involved who watches and supports the sport. And I think it's very important to have these discussions sometimes about what is the right way to handle it and what can we do to help support Thompson and Desmarais get back to playing hockey again, if Thompson can come back to play hockey, because that is unfortunately something when you have a cervical spine injury, he may not be able to play hockey again.
Yeah, I think just talking about these 2 cases, they're very obviously different for different reasons.
Yes.
The SPHL one, the Thompson injury, that definitely was not an intentional thing. At least the way that I've looked at it, because I watched it, a handful of times this morning. You had 2 guys going after a puck, and just an unfortunate series of events happened in the middle.
Yeah,
that led to him getting injured. The Desmarais thing, that was not 2 guys going after a puck. That was, Desmarais did a tripping call. The ref threw his arm up. The whistle blew. There was no play. There was nothing going on. You had 10 seconds left of the game. He had a call against him, and you went after him deliberately, on purpose, intentionally. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
So for me, for them to just slap, oh, well, you get 2 games on this. And I actually had a conversation with somebody about it earlier today. They're basically saying that it's the same thing as the slew foot that Luke Dobles did in Carolina. Mm-hmm. He had a slew foot against him, and in the description they talk about how it wasn't an actual slew foot, but the way in the style that he took the player down was an intent to cause injury, and they gave him 2 games.
Yeah.
And the way that I was looking at it was the Dobles incident. He had a match penalty, so that was your 5 minutes.
Yep.
And then he had, I don't know if it was roughing or fighting or whichever it was. And then if you look at the Frolov injury, or not the injury, the Frolov incident, he had a match penalty for illegal check to the head.
Yep.
So that's 5 minutes. And then he had the cross-checking match penalty, 5 minutes. So you had 2 5-minute match penalties, but absolutely nothing else. And I really question how you gave him absolutely nothing else. Because if you watch the video, how come he wasn't tagged with instigator? How come he wasn't tagged with aggressor? How come he wasn't tagged with roughing or whatever? There's a lot of other things that he could have been tagged with that would have caused a further suspension, in my opinion. So I honestly think that in a situation like this, because it's happened to us before, where we had a guy suspended, it was Kirkby, and he was suspended until further review. I think it was last year sometime it happened.
Right. Oh, I think was the Kirkby thing down in Blue Ridge?
I can't quite remember which one it was.
Or is it the Danbury incident?
I'm pretty sure it was Kirkby.
Yeah.
It might have been the Danbury incident because I don't remember them pending because it was Kirkby, it was Brandt, and then somebody else, and they all had
Dakota Bond.
Oh, Bond.
That was Blue Ridge. It was Blue Ridge. Now, I want to disagree with you a little bit. I think the penalties that were called during the game were perfectly fine. They were perfectly appropriate, and they were exactly what they probably should have been for the incident. My problem is that when Dave Jackson went to go review it, he didn't take this seriously enough. And I don't know why, because 2 games is just not enough for what he did versus what, like you said, great example, Luke Dobles did, right? He said that Luke Dobles did it intentionally to hurt the player and only gave him 2 games, but didn't even properly execute a slew fit properly, but threw him down to the ice. This wasn't throwing somebody down to the ice in an intent to injure. This was taking a stick and using it as a weapon with a two-handed cross-check up against the head. Something that has been more in the sporting news for health, more so in the last probably 10 years than any other time that I can think of in the history of me watching sports. You know, the NFL, the NHL, a lot of the sports, even in Major League Baseball, front head slides into second base and, into home plate, things of that nature have been discussed a lot. And I think that, they didn't take this seriously enough. I think this is, and I'm not saying this just because he's Desmarais. If this was another player on another team and this same exact incident happened and he only did 2 games, it's not enough. And I don't want to get fired up again. But I think it had to be talked about, especially with the Justin Thompson, injury that also happened. It's a very serious time for, single A hockey. Single A hockey is single A hockey. It's still the same level, SPHL, FPHL. These guys don't get paid a lot of money. They don't. It's a very low cost thing for them. And that's the reason why there's the GoFundMe page for Justin Thompson, because they don't make a lot of money. So this is a serious conversation that we need to have.
Yeah, I think the fans kind of took it, I think, a little bit too far in some instances by saying that he deserves to be kicked out of the league. I disagree with that. No, I do think he deserved more than 2 games, but to be kicked out of the league, that I don't quite agree with. I mean, I do it. Not saying what he did by any means was okay in any sense. But because I went ahead and I literally this morning went through every game Danbury had last year, and I looked at every penalty that he got. Yeah. And of all the penalties that he got, nothing compares to what he did this year. Right. So to me, it's not like this is something that he does often. It's not something that, that's not the kind of player he is. So for something must have happened that he did this intentionally, because you can tell he definitely does it intentionally. But for, a lot of the fans to be like, oh, well, he deserves to be kicked out of the league. I don't quite agree with that. No. I do think he deserved more than 2 games, but that's just the unfortunate of we're not going to get that.
Yeah. And again, that's great work by you going through and looking at that. And that is something that I know Dave Jackson looks at. They actually have a spreadsheet probably set up where he puts in this guy got suspended for this. And then if he does that again within 12 months, they double the penalty. I just feel like an illegal check to the head like that, where it causes an injury like it did, 2 games is too little. Maybe was the appropriate thing at the time, 5, 10, 15 years ago, but you got to protect these guys' livelihoods and their lives outside of hockey. And everybody knows what I'm talking about here, right? It's not that difficult to understand. You hit somebody that high up in the head, you know what the injury is going to usually be, right? Yeah, sure, he'll get cut up and bruised up and, maybe have to have some stitches. But there is that internal injury that we all know about. And so that's the important thing there. All right, let us move on to some more happier times. Now, this is the first edition of Where Are They Now with Taylor Welch. So, Taylor, take it away.
All right. As Bobby just mentioned, we're doing a new segment on the show where we're going to talk about former players and where they are now. This week, we are going to talk about Khaden Henry. Henry played 23 games with Binghamton Black Bears in the 24-25. He had 7 goals, 8 assists for 15 points, and had a plus-minus of plus 13. That same year, he played 15 games with the Monroe Moccasins. He had 6 goals, 3 assists for 9 points, and a -7. And this season, he has played 12 games with the Biloxi Breakers. He has 11 goals, 15 assists for 26 points, and a plus-minus of -7.
Which is crazy to think that he's got all those points. He's been on the ice for 26 goals, right? And yet he's a -7. That's maybe
that's why I included the numbers, because I just thought it was so funny, with Binghamton, because our plus-minus is usually always great.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason that I included it, because a plus 13 and then -7 and -7. But he's as I'm going to mention in my next point, he's currently leading the league in points with 26. And right behind him is CJ Stubbs with 25. So to have a -7, I thought was just a very interesting point.
It just shows how, I don't want to say how bad the team is down in Biloxi, but how much they are struggling defensively, because even though he's on the ice for 26 goals, he's also been on the ice for 33 goals scored against them. Yeah. That's just a crazy number. That's a crazy, crazy number.
And he is also tied for the lead in points per game with Jared Christie of the Monroe Moccasins with 2.2 points per game. Which is crazy.
That is a crazy number as well. I know it's something that last year that Tyson Kirkby was checking on almost every single day because he didn't want Justin Jesso to have a better points per game average than Tyson did. I don't think he won that battle, unfortunately, because Tyson played a lot more games than Dustin. It was easy for Dustin to keep that number very high. But let's be honest. I mean, we wanted to highlight Khaden because he's having such a great year. Good kid when he was here, wanted some more playing time, deservingly so. So he moved on from the Black Bears, and he's really shown that he's a good player. Again, another product of Brant Sherwood finding good people to come into this league.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was a blast to look up his numbers and stuff. We've kind of been keeping tabs on him because he's, been leading the league in certain areas. And that's a number that I kind of look at, as I like to look at the leaders, just because for the most part, Binghamton's in there, whether they're first or second or just they like to take the whole lead. But, it's a fun number to kind of keep up on.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And I know that if I look at those numbers now, we actually have a few guys sprinkled into the leader section in the FPHL right now. As you mentioned, Khaden Henry is got 26 points. He's first. Stubbs is second in points with 25, like you mentioned. Mac Jansen has 14 goals, 3 ahead of the next people, which includes Austin Thompson and Alexander Legoff from the Danbury Hat. CJ Stubbs first in points in the league. Ivan Bondarenko is third with 17. Let's see here. Austin DeRazio plus 12. So he's number 1. So he's kind of like that Dakota Bond / Dan Stone, who we're going to have a high plus-minus number. Gavin Yates has 6 power play goals. Mac Jansen has 5 power play goals on the season. They're 1 and 2 in the league. Let's see here. CJ Stubbs has 4 game-winning goals. That's tied for first with a bunch of other guys. And then, of course, Connor McAnanama, 2.24 goals against average, is number 1 in the league in that category. And he's number 2 with 7 wins on the season, only behind Reed Cooper of the Port Huron Prowlers. It's always kind of great to kind of look at those numbers and see who's got what.
Yeah, I like to go through it, throughout the year and just kind of keep tabs and see where he is and how everything's going. Kind of let you know, who to look out for, and, helps you understand, if you're going to be facing somebody who's coming in that's on this list, you kind of make sure to watch them a little bit more.
Perfect. All right. So when we come back after the interview with Ivan Bondarenko, I will eventually say just one version of his name. I promise. We are going to preview the next 3 games coming up and everything. So stay tuned. We'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers. Hi, this is Brandon Buczynski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. Very excited to have this gentleman on. Just been talking to him for the past 22 minutes, just about hockey and everything and his time here in Binghamton. But he does come to us from the Binghamton Black Bears. He is forward, Ivan Bondarenko. Ivan, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on. I've heard nothing but great things about you, and so far they totally live up to that.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to tell you guys more about myself, and yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about being from Moscow, Russia. Obviously, I've seen pictures and never been to Russia. Haven't been outside of the continental United States. I'll admit that right here. But you grew up there, and you were there until you were about 16 years old. Can you talk a little bit about living in Russia and learning to play hockey there? Because obviously, I would say top 4 countries in the world includes Russia when it comes to producing hockey players. Talk a little bit about what it was like to grow up and play youth hockey there.
It was amazing, honestly. Like I enjoyed it. I think our structure of hockey is a little different there for the youth. We do year by year. It wasn't minors or autumns. Not sure what you guys call it here, but we do year by year, and you have kind of a school system where you start in a program and you just stay with the coach and you just move up with your team unless somebody moves or goes some different places, different cities to play. But, you stay with your friends and you just keep playing with your same age group until you get to major juniors, where you still can get drafted by the same school you started at and keep continuing your hockey. Let's say for Dynamo, right? If you started there at a 6-year-old, you can go for the whole hockey school of it, go to their major team, and then go to their pro team. So I think that's one of the best things that they do out there, and it's awesome. I think that's an awesome way to structure the youth hockey way.
Now, obviously, there are things that people in the States and Canada see about hockey in Russia, the discipline, the great defensive minded that we've seen over the last 20, 30, 40 years, even 50 years, going all the way back to even Russia versus Canada. Is that how it's taught in Russia, about the structure and the discipline to be so very good? I mean, there are teams that we've seen on the international scene when it comes to Russian hockey where there are no penalties. They're so disciplined and so good in that sense. Is that taught from an early age there?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of a built in the programs where it is fun. I'm not going to take it away from them, but it was pretty strict, right? You're not messing up drills. You're not messing up passes, even from the young age. Like it was no messing around while the practice was on, right? Like we had pretty structured hour 15 practices, and it was very detailed. And like I said, it was nice because it got me well ready for pro. Because when you get to this level, you can't just mess up a pass when it's open ice, right? Like when you're doing the breakaways, breakouts, or whatever it is, you got to be sharp. You got to be ready. So I think they just put that in your mind as a young kid, and you kind of grow up with it.
Are there a lot of great Russian hockey players that don't play in the NHL because there is the KHL there, and it is done so well, and players are paid very well? That are there some great Russian hockey players that Americans don't know about because they play in the KHL for their whole career?
That's a hard question, to be honest. I think a lot of them tried to make it right to the NHL, and some of them do stay and become a big stars here, but yeah, it's hard really to pull out a name that would like stand out right away. But because obviously, especially nowadays, all the young kids, all the cool young kids getting picked up from KHL pretty quickly because they get a chance to go and play the big leagues while they're 17, 16-year-olds, right? If they're good enough. So they get that experience early on, and then by 18 years old, it's their second year of pro, and they feel a little more comfortable maybe going to the NHL or anything. But I think everybody who is very good at least gives it a try because we all know NHL is the best league, right? So
because it's the ultimate and it's considered the best, but the KHL really does try to throw money and really try to create an environment to keep Russian players over there, correct?
Well, yeah, and don't get me wrong, it's a great place to play, and people stay because they like it, and yeah, they don't want to move, but I don't know. I've never been in that scenario, so it's hard for me to talk about it.
Sure,
you know?
Sure.
But yeah, I think everybody tries to go to NHL, and sometimes people just choose comfort and families, right? And there's different scenarios why they might not go overseas just to change their lifestyle for a couple of years.
And before we move on from this, can I ask you how, like, as a 16-year-old kid before you moved over here, how important was the success of Ovechkin to young hockey players in Russia to know that they could go and they could play hockey, and watching Ovechkin play could help just really influence and inspire them?
Yeah, he's great, right? But I also grew up watching Datsuk more than anybody else.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a big Datsuk fan, so I was he was my inspiration, but also that being said, there's a lot of cool stories about first Russians going to the NHL and how hard it was.
Yeah.
That they had to get smuggled in and hide from the team and just to stay in the country so they can play. And I think those guys really paved the way and showed us that, you know what, you can do it. You're not going to be worse than anybody. You can make it good because obviously the Russian Five, right? Great players changed the way the NHL plays.
Yeah.
And they came from Russia. So it's, I think they're the ones who kind of paved the way, but obviously Ovi is great. He's doing things that I don't think anybody's going to be doing for a while, but the guy is not just scoring goals, but he's staying healthy and doing it constantly year after year. It's incredible.
In some ways, he's the most complete player we've seen in a long time in the NHL. He can do just a little bit of everything. And as you get older, some things start to slip a little bit. Yet there are times when we see him on the ice. Same thing with Sidney Crosby. There are just moments, the flashes of moments where just outstanding. And you're like, wow, he's like 20 years into his career and look how good he still is. Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, and some of these guys who are at their best. I remember watching Gretzky as a kid. I remember watching Mark Messier as a kid, seeing these guys do some of the stuff that they did, even 20 years into their career. It's like, wow, I can't believe it. But it's amazing to see Ovechkin break the record and whatnot.
And he's not stopping too.
No.
It's a great thing. He just keeps going.
Talk a little bit about the move from Russia to come to the States. At the age that you're at, that must have been a tough thing for you to go and leave friends and a place that you do love to come over to somewhere you just don't know.
Oh yeah, it was not an easy decision, and took a lot of back and forth. But ultimately, my dad was they were very supportive of no matter what I choose, and of me being indecisive. He was like, you know what, you get 24 hours to make a decision, and we're gonna move on from that. So after 24 hours, I made a decision that I do want to try to go to America. Right? It's like we talked about, it's the closest thing to the NHL. So if I want to play in the NHL, I should go and try.
So you came over here without your parents, correct?
Yes.
That
That's right.
That in itself is a hard thing to do. Not just coming over to a new country, but you left your parents at, I think it was 16 years old, correct?
Yeah. I turned 16 on the 25th of June, and then on September 4th, I was landing in America to start my journey that is leading me to this moment.
Now, with that being said, did you know where you were going? Like when you came over, what was the plan?
I had an idea what was gonna be happening. That summer. I went to a camp. It's called USDGP. I think it's based off Denver campus.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a 2-week development camp for any age players. I was almost 16 at that time, so I was considered getting to a junior player. So I went for 2 weeks, and I got noticed by some coaches, and it was actually pretty funny because after 2 weeks they came up and they do talk to me he was a college coach, and he talked to me for solid 10-20 minutes. You know how they are, trying to sell the school and everything. And I didn't really speak English at that time, and I felt very rude to interrupt him, so I just kind of let him go. And after he finished, I let him know that I didn't understand pretty much a word that he said. He didn't seem too thrilled with me at the moment, but he came back with a junior coach and a phone translator. And they're like, hey, come play here and try to learn English. We would like to have you in our college and see how it goes.
So how many words or phrases do you think you knew at that time when you came over here? Because that's part of the whole part of being able to communicate is to be able to talk and understand English. Because a lot of us are ignorant and we don't know Russian. We don't know. Heck, half of us don't even know Spanish. And there's a lot of Spanish speaking people in this country, so we're ignorant in that sense. So the onus is on you a lot of times to be able to communicate.
Yeah, and I knew pretty basics. I could have tell you my name and where I was from, but not much to it, right? And then I think it took me maybe a year and a half to start actually like learning a little bit of English and putting myself there. Because at the start, obviously, I didn't want to do it. I was by myself. I was missing my friends. I didn't want to learn. I didn't really care for it, I guess. And then I kind of figured that, hey, I might be staying and building my future here. So you got to either grow up and figure it out, or you're just not gonna have friends. So, and funny thing actually, Kyle Stefan, he played with me in Venachie, and he knew me when I didn't speak any English, and he was still my friend though. He was an awesome dude. He was nice to me.
Now we're talking about in 2014-15 when you were with Wenatchee, the Wild, in the Null. You played with Kyle Stefan.
That's right. Yeah, that was my second year in America, and he was nice. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have too many friends there either.
Well, he's he really is one of the sweetest people you could really meet in the world. Always has a smile on his face, always has something positive to say. And he's just a great person to be around. But that's also what I've heard about you. Where does that come from with you? Was that the way you were raised? Is it your parents? Because like pretty much anybody who's talked to me about you has talked to me about how great of a person you are to be around. Where do you attribute that from?
Probably my family and my surroundings. Obviously, I guess it's I've been blessed to grow up in a loving family. My parents are amazing. Mm-hmm. They might have been a little strict with me, but I think that's also what got me to the point where I'm at and where I am today. So I'm pretty happy and thankful for it. And just surrounding myself with good people, I think helps staying in a good right line. And my wife, she comes from a great family as well. So I think it's just easy. It's easy to do when you have people around doing it constantly, right? Like you never want to be a bad guy. You always want to help out. I don't know. It's just kind of built in, just part of me. So
Now, junior hockey for you, was there a place that really kind of helped you become the hockey player that you are now? Obviously, you spent 3 years with the Oklahoma City Junior Blazers in the old WSHL. Was there one particular town that you were in when you first started playing juniors that really helped you out a lot?
I guess OKC was very nice for me. They did a good job, and I met a lot of great people there. My head coach was Tyler Fleck at the moment, and we had assistant coach Gordon Bell and Marcos Fallo.
Mm-hmm.
And those three are just great people. To this day, they help me out. I actually do a camp with Gordon Bell up in Edmonton, Alberta. To this day, we do like a month-long camps in different cities in Canada, and it's just I think that those times were probably the best times for me. I made a lot of connections, just met a lot of great people there. So
yeah, and one of the things I was kind of curious about, because in 2019, 2020, you go pro and you're playing with the Columbus River Dragons in the FPHL. But obviously, after the next year, which was the COVID year, you played in ECHL for 4 games with Wichita. Then you played the next 4 seasons in Pensacola. But there's a difference now in 25-26 with the FPHL versus the 2019-2020 season when you were there. And I think the SPHL and the FPHL have come a little bit closer in the style of play, the quality of the player that are in the leagues. Can you talk a little bit about that first year in 2019 and then kind of compare it a little bit to what you've seen so far this year?
Honestly, it was an interesting year for me. I came out of the injury the previous year, so I didn't really play much before I got to Columbus. And one of my junior coaches was assistant coach there, and he kind of helped me out a lot by just putting his name down for me. He was actually here too, I believe, Gary Gill.
Yeah, Gary Gill. Yeah.
Yeah, so
small hockey world. Yvonne, we were joking about this before we even started recording. It is a small world in some cases. So you've come across Kyle Steffen in 24-15, and now you're telling me Gary Gill even before you turned pro, and now it's just amazing how small of a world it is.
It's kind of wild, to be honest. So, but yeah, he was in Columbus for a little bit there, and He kind of vouched for me big time, and they kept me and they let me kind of heal up a little better and get back on my feet. So Boom Boom was there.
Yep.
Jerome, he was awesome. Jeff Krupp, the owners there, they were great to me. So they took a chance, and I'm thankful for it. So like I said, I was coming off the injury, it wasn't the greatest, but they gave me a little time to be who I was, and then here I am now.
but the hockey is different between 5 years ago, 6 years ago when you were first there compared to this year, right?
Oh, for sure. There's more talented players that are starting to actually give a federal league a chance and start their career there, right? Like even when I was at 2019, whatever it wasn't really looked up as good of a step to do right for hockey. So I think a lot of people were avoiding it, and now they're realizing it's not a bad step. If you want to start your pro hockey career somewhere, want to get your feet a little wet, like it's a great place to do it. There's a lot of great players in this league. There's a lot of great people that you can learn from. So I think it did, in that sense, it grew up a lot. But in the sense of some messy stuff, I think it's still there. I think it's still there.
We that's true. We joked a little bit about when you played the 4 games in Wichita that you kind of looked around. You're not a big framed kind of guy, and that you said that you're looking around and you're seeing guys that are 20, 30 pounds heavier than you playing. But was it nice to really compare your skill level versus the guys in the ECHL when you were there?
Oh yeah, it was a cool experience for me because obviously going from Columbus, right? It's a two steps up, and I went there. Actually, like I said, Oklahoma always comes back, right? Those people were great to me, but my coach there, Gordon Bell, he knew head coach of Wichita, and they just reached out. They asked if I can come skate for a week, and I ended up signing. So it was cool to know that I'm capable of doing things that maybe I was not so confident about.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it was a great experience.
Now, I have last year, I picked on Blake Tosto a lot for going down to Florida to play hockey because he just wanted to be in the warm weather. But you spent 4 years in Pensacola, and maybe people don't think of like Florida as the hockey hotbed, even though Tampa Bay has won the championship, and Florida Everblades have won the ECHL one. They won it 3 years in a row. Obviously, the Florida Panthers. So hockey in Florida is not what people think it is. Carolina, the Hurricanes, they've won championships. Can you talk a little bit about what the culture is like in Pensacola, Florida, for not just the players and the coaching staff, but even the fans down there in Pensacola? Obviously to be successful in the SPHL, you got to have a good fan base, and there's got to be a good culture for hockey. Talk a little bit about your 4 years in Pensacola.
Oh, I mean, I loved it. We made family friends throughout that time, right? And that place was amazing to us. There's nothing negative I can say about it. The fans are unbelievable. You wouldn't expect it. Like people think probably that Florida is much of a hockey, Pensacola even, and we averaged, I think, 5,500, 6,000 for a game, and they're loud, they're loving, they're caring. It was great. It was amazing. There's nothing short of amazing there.
When and how, like, you obviously got to play with Blake last year. Talk a little bit about him. There's another guy that when I see him, always got a smile on his face, always just happy to be there. What was Blake like there? And then he left you guys and came back here and won a championship.
Yeah, I know. He was actually my centerman down there in Pensacola. So
nice. So you know him really well then.
Yeah, he was my guy. He lived with one of my good boys, Matt Wiesner too. So, well, I guess they lived close to each other. I don't know. We were always together hanging out. So he's a great guy. He's a great guy. So I wish he decided to come back again this year. So
to bingo, yeah.
When he left, it was I think it was the right decision. We weren't in a playoff really spot at that time,
right? So
we weren't having a great year, and he had a chance to come and win the championship and prolong his hockey season. And I think I don't think anybody on the team really blamed them for it. We were actually all happy for him, and we watched the games, and
that's awesome.
So
you did. So let me ask you that before we get to you coming here this year and the collusion that Brant Sherwood and that Columbus River Dragons team of 2020 and 2021 have to be here this year. And I know there's more coming, or at least there's at least one more coming. But I will say this. So some of you guys actually did watch the games where Binghamton played against Carolina and beat them. Was that something that really happened with some of you guys?
Yeah, like I said, me and Wiz, we watched it for sure because we were watching our boy Toasty, right? Like he's out there playing for a championship. It's hard not to support your boy. So we were all in. We were texting each other. We have a 3-man group chat, and obviously he was playing, so he couldn't really respond. But we were texting mid-game saying that he sucked or he did good something. It was great. But yeah, we were looking close to it, and obviously him scoring in the final game too was pretty cool.
Yeah, no,
that half-mile celly he did, it was pretty cool too. It was all awesome. So
now. So that's kind of like your first taste of Binghamton Black Bears hockey, watching it. Obviously, you had, gotten to know Toast and whatnot. But you also know Brant Sherwood from that time when 2020, 2021, when you guys were all in Columbus together. Mac Jansen, CJ Stubbs, I think Jake Schultz was there. Jake Schultz used to
That's right, yeah.
Jake Schultz was a former Binghamton Black Bear at one point. So, like, how does the conversation happen? Does Jersey call you? Do you call Jersey? How do you guys kind of get connected for you to come in this year?
I texted Jersey. I know that for sure. I texted him, and I think my first text to him was, "How's bingo looking?" So that was my first text, and I think we got on the phone afterwards for a little while and just chatted up and got back a little bit on the things we missed, and just started from there, right? Just started from there, and obviously I have a family, so
yeah,
I had to make decisions on where I want to be, what I want to do, and a lot of it was concerning what's the best for my family. So, and
is there a part? I'm just kind of curious because you did win obviously the Ignite Cup in 2020-21 with Columbus, but is there a part of you that also is like, listen, I have a relationship with Brant Sherwood, or at least I did have, over the last 4 years, maybe time and distance, separates a little bit, but there's a love that anytime a team comes together and wins a championship like you guys did in 2020-21, was there also, though, a part of you is like, listen, I need a good place for my family, but also you're like, I also want to win like another championship. Is there a part of you inside there that said, yeah, let me reach out to Jersey because I think there's a good chance in bingo?
I think obviously you guys back-to-back champions, so there is a big chance of winning, but from my perspective, I was going to win no matter where I ended up. So
I like it.
I'll take a little route of that. And, but I also had a lot of respect for Jersey. Like I said, when we met in Columbus, he was a good person for me to kind of look up, because he played level, right? He played in SP, he played in the Fed. So
yeah,
he kind of went through all of the grind, and he knew how it is. He knew what kind of players are there. So I remember now, like at the end of the season, like I had to pull him aside on the ice, and I wanted his opinion on what I should do. I was like, hey, like, you seen me play, you seen who I am, like, what do you think? And he looked at me and he said, what do you mean? You got to go up, bud. He's like, you're a hell of a player. You just got to keep playing, man. I was like, yeah. All right, I guess so. So I always had a good respect for him, and when I talked to him, it was kind of a no-brainer.
So it became an easy decision for you to come here, and I'm pretty sure that you guys moved up here a little bit before the training camp started to get kind of set up, because again, you're the one guy on the team that brings in two kids, right? Everybody's got like a dog or a cat.
Yeah.
A couple of the guys have gotten engaged.
Oh, we got those too,
Yeah, but some of the guys, they got engaged. They're really starting later to grow up and be a guy, right? Or be a man, right? But you've got two kids. How different is it for you having a family versus when you didn't have, children? Being on a hockey team, especially even at this level of hockey, single A hockey?
I think I love it. I mean, there's nothing to it. My kids are cheering me on. They're watching me play. Like, Alexander thinks I'm one of the coolest dudes around just because I play here.
That's all that matters.
He doesn't know what NHL is. He doesn't know what federal is. He comes to the rink, he watches the game, and he thinks his dad is cool, and there's no better feeling. So I think I'm pretty lucky in that scenario. It gets hard to get stuff, but obviously my wife is amazing. She does a lot. She takes care of both of them pretty much throughout most of the time, most of the day, while I'm at work, while I'm practice, or we're on the away game, right? So she gets to stay here with two kids, two dogs, and just hold the fort by herself, which is kind of crazy. I don't think I would have been able to do so.
Well, we all have to thank the moms in our lives, right? Because they do a phenomenal jobs, and sometimes in the hardest situations as well. Has Alexander started skating yet?
He comes out once in a while, and it's a little harder with school because he doesn't get out till later. But he had a little break. He might pop out once in a while, maybe this week. This week is a little busy, so not sure. But yeah, he gets out there once in a while. He wants to at least.
Yeah, we have the American Thanksgiving happening on Thursday. Kind of messes up, hockey schedules. And there's the Wednesday game, and then of course there's a game against Watertown on Friday, and then Twin City comes in for the first time this year on Saturday. So it's a busy hockey week for you guys, and practice just can't be normal based on the holiday being on Thursday. What kind of planning have you guys done so far this week getting ready for, because Danbury is not going to be, an easy game. We all saw what happened. There were some rough stuff. Zachary Desmarais gets checked in the head, which was just, kind of crazy in itself. Jesse, stands up, answers the bell there. You did the next night, 3 minutes into the game when Tomer takes a slash to a certain part of the area that we probably shouldn't talk about, because it'll make all guys go, ow,
Exactly.
So you guys got, a Danbury team that probably can't play at your guys' skill level, so they have to do different things to slow you guys down. And yet still 2 very good wins, but coming into a third game in, say, 5 nights against the Danbury team. What is the game plan going in against them?
I think we just got to focus on ourselves, on our game. They probably going to try and pull us into some stuff, but we don't really need it. We enjoy the game. We play it pretty well, I think, and I think we just got to stick to it.
So talk a little bit.
At the end of the day, it's scoring, right? It's who scores more and doesn't really get scored on. So
talk about that fight. Lurgo gets Tomer where we don't want him to get Tomer, and then you drop the gloves. You were the closest guy, and you said, "Let's go."
Pretty much, yeah. You never want to see your teammates down, so I didn't really see it at the moment, but I just turned around and I saw him laying on the ground, and I knew it wasn't good because they don't really have a reputation of good guys, and somebody's got to do it, and I was the closest guy, so there was no hesitation.
It doesn't surprise me that pretty much any guy on this team will do something like that for his teammate. I think that comes from Brant Sherwood first, right? Like, he does everything for you guys, and I think that cultivates into you guys doing everything for your teammates.
Oh, for sure. For sure. At the end of the day, we're a big family here, right? And you never want to see your family get hurt. So we're all going to take care of each other no matter what.
Before I let you go, you talked about how great the fans were in Pensacola. What have you seen so far from the fans here in Binghamton? You've seen a couple sellouts already at the arena. I think 3 sellouts so far at the arena. There's always a lot of fans down in the corner to see you guys after games. What is it been like to be here and seeing these fans here in Binghamton?
Oh, it's great. It's great. They get loud too. Sometimes I can't even hear what's going on around me. I was like, oh wow. Like it's a great atmosphere here. I think it's been awesome. I think that's why I'm only scoring at home mostly.
Yeah, you have. I think it's like just 1 goal on the road, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So that's probably one of the reasons. Just
and in 14 impact players, I think you've been an impact player like 7 or 8 times. So Taylor has talked about you a lot in her impact players report, which I know you read and you check out, which is very cool. We always appreciate it when a player or a player's parent check out some of the work that we do. We're doing this obviously to be able to cover you guys in a way that maybe other cities don't get, right? And
it's amazing what you guys do. It's pretty cool, and for somebody who maybe wasn't available to watch a game, or they can just go on Facebook and read some game notes and kind of know what happened and what's going on. And you guys put timelines on it that you can go back and watch on the YouTube. So I think it's a great work, and you guys put a lot of thought to it. So
well, thank you very much. Ivan, thank you very much. Hopefully we can get you back on the show sometime in the latter part of the season. We'll talk about how the season's gone and everything, but it's been a blast to talk to you. And I can't wait to see you down in the corner. We'll have to shake hands and say hello.
For sure. No, thank you for having me, and looking forward for this rest of the season. You guys been amazing. So
awesome. He is Ivan Bondarenko, and we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. Of course, that was Ivan Bondarenko. Want to thank him for joining us. And this upcoming Sunday, you'll hear 6 more questions with Ivan Bondarenko as well. Taylor, we obviously have 3 games coming up. First, it's Danbury. Then the team goes up to Watertown to play the Wolves for the 5th game of the season. And then the first time this season, we get to see the new Twin City Thunderbirds, and they got rid of Carolina and they went down to Twin City, and it seems like they lost a little of their luster because they're not the team that we've seen, the past couple of years. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when they come into town on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it's both exciting because we're finally going to see somebody new aside from Danbury and Watertown.
Yes.
So it's going to be exciting in that aspect, but I almost am worried about being a little bit disappointed that it's not like facing the same team that we saw last year, because as we both know, it was just a great hockey game, and I'm hoping, it's still the same thing. But yeah, they don't seem to have, maybe losing that Carolina Thunderbirds title, maybe that was, the spunk they had all the time. I don't know.
They lost the luster a little bit. It seems like, I don't know. They're definitely not the same team. They don't have Mario Cavalieri anymore. Let's see here. There's the part of the Czech line is gone. It's just not the same team as it was before, and I just don't think that they're as good as they used to be. I mean, their record definitely doesn't show that they're good anymore. But maybe it's just a slow start. Maybe they'll pick it up and they'll be better, and they'll be at the top of the standings at the end of the season, like they have been for the past 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, the 1 year where Columbus came through and basically annihilated the whole season, and Carolina still came out on top. It was kind of something I don't think anybody saw coming. So who knows? Maybe they're going to surprise everybody and still squeak their way to the top and just do it kind of on the down low while everything else is happening with everybody else.
Yeah, because through 12 games, they're 4-8 right now with only 12 points, and that's just not the Thunderbirds team that we're used to seeing.
Oh, definitely not.
All right, let's get through it. Let's start going through this.
All right, previewing the next 3 games versus Danbury on Wednesday, Watertown on Friday, and Twin City on Saturday, as Bobby's already mentioned. The Black Bears host the Danbury Hat Tricks on Wednesday, Thanksgiving Eve, to finish 3 straight games versus the Hat Tricks.
Boo.
The Black Bears defeated the Hat Tricks on Friday and Saturday this past weekend. On Friday, the Black Bears defeated the Hat Tricks 6-3. Then on Saturday, another victory for the Black Bears, a 5-1. The Black Bears are 4-0 against the Hat Tricks this season. The Black Bears will then travel to Watertown for their 5th game versus the Wolves on Friday evening. The Black Bears are 4-0 as well against the Wolves this season. The 2 teams last met on Saturday, October 25th, a 5-2 victory for the Black Bears. In the 5-2 victory, the Black Bears got goals from Austin Thompson, 2 from Gavin Yates, CJ Stubbs, and Mac Jansen. 3 of the 5 goals were on the man-up advantage for the Black Bears. Then on Saturday night, the newly renamed Twin City Thunderbirds come to the arena for the first of 5 meetings this season between the Black Bears and the Thunderbirds. Last season, the Black Bears defeated the Thunderbirds in all 4 meetings they faced each other. In 1 game in the regular season, the Black Bears defeated the Thunderbirds 1-0. The Black Bears only needed 3 games in the finals to sweep the Thunderbirds for a second straight Commissioner Cups championship.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of looking forward to the fact that, yes, we got 3 games this week, right? Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. But at least all 3 of those games are against different opponents. It's just too bad that the last 2 games that we played were against Danbury, and one of these games is against Danbury. But to see Watertown even again is just kind of like a breath of fresh air a little bit, even though the anticipation has to be when Twin City comes in and we just see a team that we know on paper usually plays very similar to us. So the games are usually tightly contested and there's good defense, and the offense is usually because someone made a mistake.
Yeah, I've told you, I think, several times last season that the 1-0 Carolina game was probably my favorite game of the season.
It was mine. Yeah. No, seriously.
It's just one of those things that you get to sit there and it's hockey. It's plain and simple.
Well, and the other 1-0 game in the playoffs, where Zach Sirota scored the only goal. To me, that was just good hockey. Good.
Yeah, I mean, that's why that's my only fear is that they're going to come in and I'm going to be a little bit disappointed because it might not have that same feeling. And that's the only thing that I'm worried about, with this 3-game series coming up.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So Wednesday night, the Hat Tricks will still be without Vadim Frolov due to suspension. The Hat Tricks are led by Alexander Legoff. He's in 14 games played. He's got 11 goals, 13 assists for 24 points. Now, Johnny Ruiz came back this past weekend from injury. In 9 games played, he's got 4 goals, 7 assists for 11 points. He does score on the power play. He's got 2 power play goals this year. Drew Welch in 10 games played. Now, Drew scored in both games against the Black Bears this last weekend. So he's definitely a guy you need to look out for. He's got 6 goals on the season, 4 assists for 10 points. And he's got a power play goal, a shorthanded goal, and a game-winning goal to his credit. Sebastian Rizar, I don't know if he's going to play in this game. I don't know if I would. I think I would probably put Frankie McClendon in there because you don't want the guy to go completely bonkers if he loses a 3rd straight game against the Black Bears. So your thoughts on that? Do you play Rizar or do you go to Frankie McClendon for this Wednesday night game?
It's truly a great question. In my opinion, it would be silly to play Rizar just because of how the last couple games have gone. And you kind of watched him because even the Danbury fans were telling us that, they didn't see this side of him until he played Binghamton.
I love that.
So you kind of have to wonder if, we started something and now you just kind of slowly see him becoming more unhinged each game, or if it's just something with the Black Bears that he can't take the pressure. He can't take, somebody being too close to his crease and he just can't handle it. I don't know what McClendon's stats are. I have not looked at them, to be honest. So I don't know. Do you throw Rizar in there and feed him to the Bears again? Or do you throw McClendon in there and watch Rizar hopefully not sit in the backup goalie spot and he's hopefully sitting on the bench because otherwise he's probably getting earful all night long.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. And I got to be honest with you. I'm wondering if when he hears that, it kind of triggers something for him. And I don't know if I would play him. I think I would put in Frankie. He's a veteran. He's been in this league for a very long time. He's handled a lot of stuff. But to what you're saying, Taylor, you put him over in that corner, and the fans in 19 and 20, they're just going to be on him like crazy.
Oh, yeah, they're going to, Jeremy's one of them. He already told me that if he's sitting in that corner, he's going to be getting an earful from him all night long. But at the same time, even if, because the Danbury fans, this guy came in and he's supposed to be very good and he seemed all right. He seemed pretty good before he faced us. And it's almost one of those things where maybe you should sit him for a couple of games and, kind of make him sit there and be like, you got to sit out. You've got to figure it out.
Yeah.
I know they kind of did that a little bit with McAnanima. He didn't have like the greatest game and they sat him, and then he came back and he's playing great again.
Yeah. But I think but C-Mac has a little bit different of a mentality. He's a little bit calmer. Things don't get to him that much. But Rissar, we could see it on the ice. It looked like things were bothering him.
I think a little is a bit of an understatement. I think there's a huge difference in mentality.
Yeah.
It's just, if you look at C-Mac on the ice, he's just the blue eyes, and it's just a dead gaze, and it's like it's a terrifying thing to look at.
Yeah.
Like he has just this hard composure on the ice, and then you look at Sebastian, and every time he's taking his helmet off, he's laughing, he's poking fun at the fans, he literally has a pretty boy face, and I can't get over it. And every time he takes his helmet off and he's doing something, he has a pretty boy face, and that's not what you get when you look at C-Mac.
Right. And I think the other thing is his mind is not in the right place, right? Where he's thinking more about the fans and fighting C-Mac at the end of one of the games than he is about, stopping the puck and playing hockey, which I don't know if Danbury is playing hockey right now. But Sebastian Rissar, 4-2-1 with a 3.24 goals against average and a 927 save percentage. The save percentage still looks good, but that's because the Black Bears usually put a lot of shots on goaltenders. Now, the Wolves are led by Igor Filipov, who in 12 games played has 7 goals, 6 assists for 13 points, 2 power play goals, and 1 game-winning goal. Stephen Klink, who I know scored a couple goals against us during the first 4 games that we've played against them. In 11 games played, he's got 6 goals, 4 assists for 10 points, 1 power play goal, and 1 game-winning goal. Chris Corrigan, 13 games played, 2 goals, 8 assists for 10 points. They do not score a lot on the Wolves team. And I can't believe I have Matt Lensdown as the goaltender to highlight here, especially with Brendan Colgan being on the team. But his numbers are a little bit better. He's 3-2-0 with a 3.92 goals against average and a 906 save percentage. One of the things that I remember, Taylor, about the Wolves is that they do play a physical game, very, very much not like the Port Huron Prowlers. The Prowlers are a little bit more like high tense physical. They let their sticks slide. They do these. I mean, you already did a whole thing about the Port Huron Prowlers. The Wolves are more body on body. They really just want to be right there with you, using their body to slow you down some. They don't score a lot. They play okay defense. But I think the Black Bears can still light this team up, unfortunately.
Well, because when you're trying to put bodies on bodies, you have to be able to catch those bodies. And we have, quite a few very fast players on our team, even though you did sort of pick on Gavin Yates a couple weeks ago about not being as quick as he was a couple years ago.
Oh, please.
But
don't start that. Well, I mean, come on. I'm 53. I'm not as fast as I used to be. Oh my gosh, and so it definitely happens.
But he's still one of the fastest guys out there on the ice. I still remember, it was, I think, one of the first years that I started coming full time, and we literally watched him just skating around the entire team several times before anybody even got close to him. And we're like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So, to have bodies on bodies, it definitely does help to slow down the game. But if you can't catch up to those bodies, and let's be honest, when you have, a Gavin Yates or a Bondarenko or guys like that can get into the zone fast, if they're connecting on their passes, good luck. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the Thunderbirds are led by Gus Ford, 12 games played, 8 goals, 11 assists for 19 points, 3 power play goals, 1 game-winning goal. Josh LaBelle, who spent most of his time so far this year with the Danbury Hat Tricks, he's been traded down to Twin City. He, in 12 games played so far this whole season, he's got 3 goals, 13 assists for 16 points, 3 power play goals, and 1 game-winning goal. I believe while in Twin City, he's got 2 goals and 1 assist, or 1 goal and 2 assists. I don't remember exactly. I just know it's very minimal. He's only played a couple games with Twin City so far. And then you have Zach White, who is an excellent player. I really like the way this guy plays the game. 11 goals, 11 games played. He's got 8 goals, 7 assists, 15 points. Reminds me a lot of Austin Thompson on our team, the way he plays the game. 1 power play goal, 2 game-winning goals. And down there, instead of Mario Cavallari, because he retired, he's no longer on the team, Boris Babic is got a 3-4-0 record with a 4.29 goals against average. And that's honestly probably the best between the two goalies, and an 880 save percentage. Now, the other goalie that they have there does have a save percentage that is in the 90s, but they have not been good defensively. They have to be good offensively because they, unfortunately, their defense is just not as good as they were. And they really only have about one line and another player that can really score on the team.
Yeah, that's it's always hard when you have something like that. If you don't have a great defense in front of you, it's got to be tough on your goalies. I mean, you could easily look at the team and be like, oh, well, Babic let X amount of goals in or whatever, but it's not just a goalie. You definitely have to rely on the people that are playing in front of you, which is why I've always appreciated hearing about, last year is a perfect example of Mac and Anima saying, hey, if you guys aren't going to stop the puck, then
get
move
out of
so
my
I
way.
can see it. It's just one of those things where you have to be able to trust the people in front of you, that they're going to stop the puck if it's coming at you, or they're going to make it so you can see it, so you have the ability to stop it.
Now,
so if they could maybe figure out their defense, maybe they'll get better throughout as the season goes on. But if you can't figure that out, it's probably going to be a rough season.
Well, agreed. All right, special teams wise. Now, on the special teams, realistically, Danbury can only compete out of the 3 teams that we're facing. Danbury's the one that really can compete on the penalty kill because they're ranked 4th. But let me go through this. All right, so Binghamton on the power play right now is ranked 4th. 21 power play goals, 22%. Their penalty kill is ranked 2nd. They are so close to being the number 1 penalty kill team in the league. PD is number 1 right now by just a couple thousandths of a point, and that's at 91%. Danbury, again, all the power plays of these 3 teams are really just not that good and not firing off all that well. Danbury's power play is ranked 10th with 12 power play goals, 15%. The penalty kill is ranked 4th. This is the one highlight of the Danbury team, special teams wise, is their penalty kill is ranked 4th with 12 power play goals against, an 84% kill rate. Watertown, on the other hand, both are not doing so good. The power play is ranked 12th with 8 power play goals at a 13% rank. The penalty kill is 10th with 15 power play goals against, an 81% rate. And then Twin City, this is the one that really just surprised me. Their power play is ranked 9th with 9 power play goals and 15% conversion rate, where their penalty kill is dead last. That's right. They have 16 power play goals against, which isn't the most in the league, but it's a 67% kill rate. And I'll be honest with you, if they don't figure that out before Saturday, Taylor, and they let the Black Bears have 4 or 5 or 6 chances on the power play, the Black Bears will burn them and get 3 or 4 power play goals.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I mean, just looking at a penalty kill, that right there tells you that their defense is lacking.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have a great if you can't play defensively, your penalty kill it's not going to be that great. And theirs definitely shows it.
Yeah, it's all defense. When you're on the penalty kill, everybody, from the forwards to the defensemen that you have out there on the penalty kill, all you can think about is defense. And clearly something is going on there. Now, I believe the Indiana Sentinels have 19 power play goals against them, but their rating is still like 75% or 78%. It's so much better, percentage wise than the Twin City Thunderbirds. So either way, we got 3 teams coming in this week. Danbury on Wednesday, Watertown on Friday. Well, actually, we're going up to Watertown. Will you be traveling to that game, Taylor?
It all depends on his work schedule. If he can get out of work and we can get up there in time, yeah, we would go. If not, then I'll just be watching it at home.
Yeah. And then, of course, Twin City comes in on Saturday. So those are your 3 games. That is the show. And I'm pretty sure everyone's exhausted at this point. All right. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Join the conversation on Facebook, search Power Play Post Show, and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, visit binghamtonhockey.net. Thanks to Rob Lapolis, our MC, John Patitucci, our musical director, and from the Binghamton Black Bears, Yvonne Bondarenko. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And we'll talk to you next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.